welcome to WCW Worldwide. Scott Hudson and wrestling's only living legend, Larry Zbyszko, bringing you the hottest action and news from World Championship Wrestling. We're in the aftermath of WCW Mayhem pay-per-view. We'll have a complete recap of what went down in Milwaukee next week on this broadcast. You don't want to miss it. We've got the Professor's Picks of the Week. We've got exclusive worldwide action and legend. We've got an AskWCW.com question for the new CEO, Ric Flair.
Well, I bet there's a lot of guys that have questions for our new CEO. You know, Ric Flair's one of these guys that keeps a lot of things deep inside. He won't tell anybody anything. A lot of wrestlers all wondering what Ric Flair's going to think of next. And believe me, nobody knows what can come out of the mind of the Nature Boy.
Nobody ever went broke underestimating the unpredictability of the Nature Boy Ric Flair. This week will prove no exception. That's later. Sergeant AWOL is here. The hardcore Wiggler Norman Smiley will be in action against Kwee-Wee. That's later in this broadcast, but when we come back to Worldwide, it's the Professor's Picks of the Week. Stay right where you are.
This is Goldberg from WCW. You're watching Worldwide, and if you ever want to know what we do in our spare time, we're out here for the MDA Association, putting our spare time to a good cause. Don't you ever forget that. See ya.
And welcome back to WCW Worldwide. Thought we'd never get rid of Mike today, but we've been rejoined by the living legend, Larry Zbyszko, and it's time for AskWCW.com. And this week, our question is from Nate Jones of North Manchester, Indiana. That's the home of the Fort Whistler Armory. Lots of great shows there back in the days of the territories. His question, like we told you, for Ric Flair, the CEO and boss of World Championship Wrestling. And the question, Ric Flair, who is the most influential person in your career? That's a great question. Who do you think you'll name, Ledge?
Well, you know, what comes out of the mouth of Ric Flair is anybody's guess. Maybe he's a divorce attorney. That'll keep you motivated.
Can we say that?
I already said it.
Let's send it to our boss, the CEO, Ric Flair, for his answer. We probably shouldn't mention that. Well, that's...
Nate, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate the acknowledgement. I appreciate the respect. That's probably the most difficult question I've ever been asked, because I look at myself each and every day, and I have always pushed myself based on things that I wanted to achieve and accomplish to be at the level in the sport that I've been at. I can look back at guys like Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch, the Bruiser and the Crusher, Jimmy Snuka, Ray Stevens, Nick Bachman, which are always guys out there that I respected, wanted to be like, pattern myself after, but I really think the driving force and the most influential thing in my career is the fact that each and every day that I went to that ring, I wanted to have the best match. I wanted people in that crowd, I wanted guys in the dressing room, I wanted my peers to know and to think that I was the very best at what I did each and every night. I was driven to be very successful and to be held in esteem as being the greatest and the best at what I do. And that always was driven harder and harder by the fact that in the 80s there were matches that were on before me that were incredibly hard to follow. They were that good. There was that much talent back then. They were great wrestlers. It's a great sport. But to answer your question honestly, I think the most driven force or the most influential part of my career has been the fact that I strived each and every day to be the very best that I could be at my choice in life, which is professional wrestling.
Interesting answer from the boss, Ric Flair, about the most influential person in his career. I could have sworn he was going to say Kwee-Wee. So I'm out $5.
I'll tell you what, you want to find out some answers to questions, tell them about I'm Next. I mean, I'm not next, it's the book.
The book. Goldberg's book talks about his career in professional football and his beginnings in pro wrestling. Remember, he went 176-0 to start his career as a professional wrestler here in WCW. And
another one,
The Ultimate Guide to World Championship Wrestling. The next time you head down to the Mega Bookmark, pick up both of those tomes and hit the magazine rack. The new WCW magazine, you can't miss it. It's got Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, and Medeja on the cover. Buy one to read and then buy one to keep. It's the WCW magazine on sale right now. Column by yours truly in there about Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Idiot Jeff Jarrett. Without that guitar, he wouldn't even fit in this book.
He's got 2 pages in the Ultimate Guide to World Championship Wrestling. Hey, you know what? Recently in Atlanta, Georgia, Goldberg and Buff Bagwell participated in the WNNX, the 99X charity softball game. You throw in people like Jervis from Survivor, professional baseball players like Tom Glavine, Mark Wohlers, they were all there. The Atlanta Falcons were there. We're going to get to that when we come back to WCW Worldwide.
This is Buck Daddy, and guess what? I'm at Turner Field today for a great cause, and you can catch me on Worldwide. So tune in and see Buck, and he'll show you his stuff. You get it? Buck stuff, it all goes together.
Welcome back to WCW Worldwide. On a recent edition of this broadcast, Legend, you remember Jimmy Barron from 99X.
Well, I'm the ones that showed him the hole.
Of course, and he can't wait to get his hands on Jimmy Hart.
Has he been practicing this?
I have no idea. I don't touch base with Jimmy Barron. Jimmy Barron getting ready to face Jimmy Hart, but Jimmy Barron part of the 99X Morning X team on the radio, and that radio station, 99X in Atlanta, put on a charity softball game at Turner Field in Atlanta, featuring Goldberg and Buff Bagwell, along with men like Tom Glavine from the Atlanta Braves, Jervis from Survivor. Remember that show? You loved that show, Survivor. Remember that?
No.
You talked about it incessantly for a week. My question for you, Legend, why didn't we see you out there at the charity softball game?
Well, you know, I need some advance notice. I'm golfing, and I had a lot of tee times booked, and you just gotta call me a few months in advance.
But a few months, but you're helping out the kids, the little people.
I would help out the kids, and I would do it for free.
You would?
I need notice.
Flag the tape. He would do it for free. That's the first time those words have escaped your lips, I think, since 1978.
I'm gonna go have a talk with myself.
Apparently so. Let's send it to Turner Field. Compliments of 99X, the charity softball game with Goldberg and Bagwell.
Look at this guy.
Recently in Atlanta, Georgia, 10,000 fans gathered at Turner Field to witness the 4th annual Celebrity Softball Slam, sponsored by local radio station 99X and benefiting the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Sportscaster Ernie Johnson called the action, while his son Michael threw out the first pitch to his new buddy, Goldberg. WCW superstars Buff Bagwell and Goldberg were joined by members of the Atlanta Braves and Atlanta Thrashers, musicians from the band Collective Soul, rapper Chuck D, Jervis from TV's Survivor, and actor Kip Pardue from the movie Remember the Titans. Along with a string of local celebrities, they took part in some good-natured horseplay for a good cause. Buff Bagwell's double to center field drove in Goldberg for the first run of the game. As part of 99X DJ Jimmy Barron's team, Jimmy's Hidden Shack, they played well. But around the 6th inning, things took a turn for the worse when rival team the Barnstormers garnered 4 runs and continued to outplay the Hidden Shack with a final score of Barnstormers 9, Hidden Shack 3, and $100,000 for MDA.
You know what? Goldberg had a career as a professional football player and now is at the top of professional wrestling here in WCW. He may have had a go at pro baseball. He looked great out there.
I think Goldberg's one of these guys that could do anything. Anything he wanted, he would be a success at. He's a natural athlete. And that's the big difference between wannabes and guys that make the grade.
Speaking of making the grade, when we come back to Worldwide, we go to the ring for exclusive Worldwide action. Stay with us. Recently, World Championship Wrestling conducted the invasion of the mother country, WCW, in the UK. While their Legend, we put our best up against their best, and we start off with Sergeant AWOL of the Misfits in action.
Sergeant AWOL. The Misfits are exactly that. And the combination of guys within that organization create an unpredictable surrounding. Behind all these guys, of course, is the misled, misfitted information coming out of the general. Anything can happen with AWOL.
from Manchester, England, Sergeant AWOL and Ian Harrison from England.
This is the Manchester Evening News Arena, the site of World Championship Wrestling's UK Invasion Tour 2000, and a newcomer making his WCW debut on his way to the ring. Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone with you at ringside. And Tony, I've never seen this man wrestle before. Certainly an impressive physique. One of the big men here from the UK, Ian Harrison, to go one-on-one with, well, one of the more physical and one of the bigger men from World Championship Wrestling in Sergeant AWOL.
Well, when Ian Harrison arrived at the Evening News Arena earlier today, we all kind of stood up and took notice. Ian Harrison's got obviously an attitude, and look at the upper body, look at the size. This should be a good matchup to see what he does against Sergeant AWOL. And take a look at the crowd we have here in Manchester. And here comes Sergeant AWOL.
Just another phenomenal turnout here in Manchester, England. Like every city where World Championship has been throughout the UK, and now representing the MIA, the Misfits in action, the big man, Sergeant AWOL, and certainly there's been some problems as of late in the camp of the Misfits in action. But it seems like every time they have those problems, every time it looks like the Misfits in action are going to be down, there's that one man that they always rally around. We're talking about General Rection, their leader.
He is the leader. He is obviously the focus of the entire group, the motivator in many ways. I guess we're kind of stealing this term, but the coach as well of the Misfits in action. But really, Sergeant AWOL is the man who was most hurt, I think, by the turn of Major Guns to Team Canada recently, because he was the man who was kind of her protector, her guardian of the Misfits in action.
Well, it certainly not only surprised us, but it certainly surprised him as well when Major Guns left the Misfits after just returning for a couple of weeks and rejoined Team Canada and Lance Storm and company. You know, it's rare that Sergeant AWOL is able to look across the ring and look eye to eye with his opponent. But that's the case here with Ian Harrison, who's in the neighborhood of 6'5", 6'6", against the bigger 6'8" Sergeant AWOL. And Harrison that time surprised him. He caught Sergeant AWOL off the corner break with a right hand.
There's a lot about Ian Harrison that reminds me of a Sid Vicious. I don't know if it's the upper body, the demeanor, the facial expression, or what. But he certainly is big and strong and powerful. Let's see if he has the viciousness of a Sid Vicious.
Or the experience. We're not sure at this point. AWOL shoves him off into the ropes. Able to put the big chest right there with the block. And then scoops him up. This is impressive. And takes him down with a big scoop and a slam. Well, it's not often that you see Sergeant AWOL go airborne. And you saw why. Off the ropes that time, went for the elbow, did not connect. Didn't connect either with the right hand. And that enables Ian Harrison to turn things around.
I want to tell you how a small move can turn things around. Oh, whoa, boy, look at that. A few moments ago, the running attempt at a shoulder tackle by Harrison on to Sergeant AWOL, and Harrison went down. Harrison has been very arrogant, and that move showed Harrison that AWOL was able to go at him power for power, and let's see if he can't keep it on.
Back to the brawling style, the punches there, and there you see the face breaker from Ian Harrison. And it's not often that we've seen Sergeant AWOL in this kind of trouble. AWOL now from a knee connects with a right hand to the midsection, trying to fight his way back. Series of rights. Jacked the jaw of Harrison before he stopped that momentum with the rake of the eyes. Now he's got him set up over the middle rope. Referee Mark Johnson trying to get Harrison to break, but you can see that Harrison is not going to break at least until Johnson starts the 5 count.
I think Johnson was showing some inexperience as the referee. He should have started the 5 count immediately instead of trying to reason with a man who obviously here in England, his home country, is not going to be reasonable at all.
Oh, trying to make a big showing here, and look at that. Scoop and a slam of the well over 300-pound Sergeant AWOL. Harrison has been very methodical. Following up now after the scoop slam slowly. Let's see if he can take advantage. Right hand to the back of the head of AWOL, and then goes back down to the basics with the rear chin lock.
What's been most impressive about the upper body of Harrison has been the lats, those back muscles. I mean, they are well developed, and that's going to give you some added leverage on a sleeper hold like this.
And trying to wear down Sergeant AWOL. Also at this point in time, just neutralizing AWOL with this move. So it's doubly effective. AWOL asking for support from the fans. They're behind the Misfits, and they're behind the Sarge, who gets to his feet. Back elbow to the midsection. Two of them, and then a right hand and a series of rights now. And he has Ian Harrison rocking. To the ropes goes Harrison. Able to duck the big boot. Oh! Mid-ring collision. Both men butted heads.
I think Harrison showed great quickness that time because he ducked in the nick of the time that time as he went through the ropes, hit the ropes, and both men go down. Let's see who can get up.
Referee Johnson employs the count. Harrison up to his feet first. The Sarge is still down, slowly making his way up, but then charges across, and we saw that Harrison was playing possum. He just outsmarted Sergeant AWOL.
Telegraphed it, kind of a slow start from the other side ropes. That enabled Harrison to drop down and put him on the outside.
Now they take the battle out to the arena floor. The double sledge to the back by Harrison off the ring apron. Grabs the side headlock. Where's he going to take him now? Not even sure if he knows. Face first that time into the steel safety rail.
Kind of a small area at ringside as well. The apron, around the ring apron, it seems like the safety rails are closer than we're accustomed to, Mike.
Limited area here at ringside because the fans want to be right on top of the action, and there are so many of those fans jammed in to this evening news arena here in Manchester, England. As we see Ian Harrison bring a table into the ring. Now, I'm not sure if Harrison knows that much about Sergeant AWOL, but Tony, as we've seen in his stay here in WCW, the Sarge loves to use the tables as well.
It may be a mistake, but obviously Harrison wants to show the Sergeant up. If he knows anything about AWOL, he knows the table, one of his fortes, so why not for Harrison to bring it in and beat him at his own game?
And if he could beat him at his own move, that would make it even sweeter. The reversal into the ropes by AWOL. Oh, he's got him throttled. Can he take him up for a chokeslam? This is an awfully big man. Got him up. Oh, drove him right through the table with the chokeslam. AWOL for the cover. Got two and got him.
Isn't it something? It doesn't matter what country we go to, they love the table, don't they?
From the fans, their reaction, as well as from the competitors in the ring. They certainly love to use the table. The Sarge has used it as one of his trademark moves, and he just drove Harrison right through that table with the chokeslam. In this worldwide exclusive, your winner, Sergeant AWOL of the MIA.
Another victory for Sergeant AWOL during the invasion of World Championship Wrestling in the United Kingdom. But don't go anywhere. We've got exclusive worldwide action still to come in this broadcast. We're going back to England. The Hardcore Wiggler Norman Smiley and Kwee are going to finish us up on Worldwide. Stay right where you are. Wait a minute.
I'm just reading the pictures.
Oh, just for the article.
This is the sold-out London Arena, the site of this week's WCW Worldwide exclusive matchup, featuring, well, two of the most interesting and charismatic individuals on the World Championship Wrestling roster. Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone with you at ringside, and those two interesting individuals are Kwee, accompanied to the ring by Paisley, Tony.
Kwee, of course, has established himself, especially over the last few weeks and few months, as one of the top cruiserweights in the entire world. And a little interesting sidebar here is that Kwee has, over the past few weeks, had a lot of glitter in his hair. A lot of glitter all over his body. WCW officials said enough of the glitter.
What?
Keep the glitter in the back because the glitter would stay with us throughout the entire program.
They banned Kwee Dust?
He's been deglittered.
He's been deglittered. And this is his deglittered debut here on WCW Worldwide. The opposition provided for Kwee and Paisley this week. Well, I guess you could say it's a homecoming of sorts because he's back in the UK. Great Britain's own Screamin' Norman Smiley.
Do you notice how many female fans came here to Great Britain, to London, just to see Screamin' Norman? He has quite a following here in his home country.
Well, he certainly does, but you see that everywhere that World Championship Wrestling goes. But I guess you're right, maybe even more so here in the UK. Of course, great fan response to not just Screamin' Norman, but to everyone associated with World Championship Wrestling, even the announcers.
Yeah, I know.
How can you complain about this kind of fan reaction?
This has been great for all of us. We have been well received here in London, and certainly the same applied back when we were in Australia. It's really great. It makes you feel good about what you do, Mike, to be this well received regardless of where you go.
Yes, the fans worldwide love World Championship Wrestling. And you can see firmly in their support of Screamin' Norman in this matchup against Kwee-Wee. And one thing that we've noticed about Kwee-Wee, especially in the past month or so, he seems to have this alter ego that Paisley refers to as Angry Allen.
Angry Allen, and we have seen Angry Allen surface many times. And the fact is that it's almost his alter ego. The man snaps, and I don't know if it's good for him to snap or not, because even though he is he's an odd, look at that, even though he's an odd person, I like Kwee-Wee when he's not so angry. I think he's more focused.
And you can't argue about the success that he's had since becoming a member of World Championship Wrestling. Here in the opening minutes of this matchup, Screamin' Norman in his homecoming has taken the advantage and has had, Kwee-Wee on the receiving end of several impressive moves. Back to the basics, they lock it up, collar and elbow. Kwee-Wee breaks out of the collar and elbow, first with a knee to the midsection, and then this is part of the Angry Allen, the series of clubbing blows to the back.
The fact is, you never know when Angry Allen is going to surface. I don't even think Paisley knows.
Paisley cheering him on and seems to be quite happy at ringside as Kwee-Wee has Screamin' Norman in trouble, pounding on him in the corner, not even enabling Screamin' Norman to make his way back out, and now finally does. Shoots him off into the ring ropes. Nice go-behind move that time. This time the go-behind is by Angry Allen or Kwee-Wee, and it's broken. Kwee-Wee springs off the middle rope. Attempted a sunset flip. Little showboating there, and a 2 count. Screamin' Norman almost lost because of the showboating. Oh, wind him up time. Mid-ring slam after the wind-up. Are we going to wiggle? It's not time yet. Of course it's not. Thez press, and I don't think Lou Thez ever thought, as we see him get a 2 count, that we'd see a move like that named after him from someone as strange and as different as Kwee-Wee.
From a wardrobe guy, right?
Well, yeah, of course he's a wardrobe guy, but he went to the WCW power plant.
Yeah, but he's still a wardrobe guy.
I guess you're right. To the ropes goes Kwee-Wee. Ducks the clothesline. Ducks it a second time. And this time, it's time for a little spank, and up into the air and drops him face first.
Little impromptu wiggle right there. Maybe, here we go. She'll get right in his face. You know she will.
Well, that was just a mini wiggle. That's not the big wiggle, is it? Well, the attack from behind by Kwee-Wee. And again, Paisley's interference pays off, always distracting the opposition for Kwee-Wee. Now off the ropes, the leap over. The roll through, attempt here to pin, and 2 and only 2 before Kwee-Wee kicks out, and then immediately tries to come back with an offensive attack, but it's stopped right in mid-move by Screamin' Norman.
Heck of a move by Kwee-Wee to come out of that pinning combination and try to get him with a forearm, but Norman showing his prowess that time. Watch out, Mike.
Both went for the backslide. Kwee-Wee pulled him over, got only a 2 count. Now the double underhook, and going to take him up into the air. Where's he going to drop it? Head first, face first? Neither. On his back. 2 and only 2.
Norman, a little added punch on that cover as he was grinding that forearm down into the face. How about that? Norman, a little bit nastier than you would first imagine.
Well, of course, his background has some submission wrestling in it, as we see now the Norman Conquest applied. Speaking of submission holds, the drop down with the cross face has the leg grapevine as well. And you see the tap out from Kwee-Wee as Screamin' Norman scores the submission win with the Norman Conquest.
December 17th from the MCI Center in Washington, D.C., Luger and Goldberg, Part 2. And speaking of Goldberg, check the bestseller list. You'll see this right near the top. I'm Next, the book that Goldberg chronicles his history through the NFL, through the University of Georgia, to the NFL, into World Championship Wrestling, and oh boy, is he on fire. Let's take a look at the media tour for the Phenom, Goldberg.
WNNX Atlanta, broadcasting at 99.7.
Oh, when you hear that theme, you know the man, Goldberg.
William Goldberg.
We're talking to Goldberg. His book is called I'm Next. It's out now. He's signing tonight at 7. You're signing only books tonight, Goldberg?
Well, you know, if you're under about 5 feet tall like Jimmy is, I'll probably sign something else.
It's in Chapter 11 of Peachtree Battle. One thing that we know about you is your heart, which is about twice as big as you are, because you do so much charity stuff. How do you think you keep, because a lot of celebrities, they go up on the ride, and when they get to the top, they kind of start forgetting about other things. You put all those things in front of everything else. Where does that come from in you?
I think it comes from my upbringing, no question about it. I take a lot of pride in trying to put a lot of smiles on kids' faces. I always envision that I'm the last kid in line.
And you always think about the little kid that might be intimidated, too, to come up to you.
It's got to feel weird when you know, like, and I've seen you at autograph sessions where these little kids, they're dying to meet you, but then they meet you and they're almost scared.
Sure.
And that's got to be tough for you.
Well, you know, mentally, all they have to figure out is that I'm on their level anyway, so...
Right.
How long have you, yeah, Jimmy, settle down. How long did you work on this book? How long did it take you to do the book?
Way too long. It was the most excruciating experience of my entire life. I'm still embarrassed about what's written in that book and the fact that there's going to be many, many people reading about what's in there. It's just hard to put stuff down that you know a lot of people are going to read, but you've got to spur their imagination too, so you got to put some pretty wild stuff in there.
Yeah, Bill, this is a really well done book, and
it is.
Thanks for breaking it down to the third grade level for me. I actually read it in 2 hours.
Hey, no problem, man.
Very
I had to break it down for someone that could read like myself, unfortunately.
It was great to have you on.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Goldberg tonight at 7. You can meet him, get your autograph at Chapter 11.
Bill Goldberg here with us. I'm Next, the title of the book signing, Chapter 11, Peachtree Battle later on today. You forget what day it is of the week sometimes? I know you got to tape the show on Monday and you got to do the show that day, but
yeah,
life on the road.
Hey man, one day is the same as the next.
Yeah.
And you also told me during the break you've got something coming up on Comedy Central.
Yeah, you know, we got a very festive installment on the Man Show, Hanukkah with Goldberg. It's pretty entertaining. You know, I answer the door in full wrestling gear and a yarmulke on, so if you can envision that. It's
You got a yarmulke on the back of your book.
Yeah, pretty sweet, huh?
Original. Say that. It's not something you see every day, a wrestler with a yarmulke.
There you go. I mean, I'm not trying to appeal to the wrestling crowd. I'm trying to appeal to everybody. I'm trying to give people a reason to pick that book up and to hopefully pick it up, open it up, and read a little bit, and I guarantee you're going to get hooked.
Title of the book is I'm Next. Always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for coming by.
Bill, thanks very much for stopping by. We
got
appreciate it.
Bill Goldberg here on Atlanta Sports Leader 790 The Zone.
See you later, Frank, in Miami.
How you doing, Frank?
What's the life expectancy of a professional wrestler?
The life expectancy of the normal professional wrestler is quite different than my life expectancy as a wrestler. The type of wrestling that I do is much more dynamic and much more physical than I think than anybody else. I'm lucky to just be able to. I'm lucky to be able to walk.
You're a big bad wrestler. You have your persona in the ring, but you're also very involved in children's charities like Make-A-Wish, and you do a lot of stuff with kids, don't you?
Yeah, no question about it. The biggest satisfaction I get out of what I do is that I can be a liaison between my business and the kids. I feel like David Copperfield at times. I'm a magician. You know, I can see a kid that's got cancer, and unfortunately he may be not doing too well and going downhill, and maybe for the 5 minutes that he and I spend together, I can put a smile on his face, and to me that's worth more than any amount of money on the planet.
Nice to meet you.
William.
William, guess what? That's my name. You turn around and take a picture with me? Well, used to be my name. That's not really him. And that's definitely not really me.
Did I mention I was writing a book?
He is everywhere, and the book, I'm Next, flying off the shelves across the country. Make sure you pick it up. Legend, have you read the book?
Yeah, it's a great book. Very interesting story of how Mr. Goldberg went from football to the biggest wrestling attraction ever.
Absolutely. It's a great read. You'll want to pick it up. I've got an autographed copy right here, by the way.
Well, when Bill's dead, that's going to be worth a mint.
How I scored that. Don't talk like that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's not going right away.
When we come back to Worldwide, it's AskWCW.com. Stay right where you are. And welcome back to WCW Worldwide. Time for my favorite segment. Professor's Pick of the Week. It's coming up. It's number 2 with a bullet. Still number 1, AskWCW.com. Here we go. The question this week from Sammy Florence of DuPont, Pennsylvania. And how about this one? It's for Mean Gene Okerlund. Somebody hose him off and get him ready. We've got a question for him. Is interviewing wrestlers now any different than when you were interviewing wrestlers when you started your career? That's a great question. He was interviewing.
That's kind of a stupid question.
Well, he interviewed Frank Gotch and
so
Strangler
You
Lewis.
say, hey, Frank, what do you think of the match? Boom, and you stand there and hold the microphone. And today you go, hey, Luger, what do you think about the match? And you stand there and you hold the microphone.
Well,
any idiot can do that.
Well, speaking of any idiot, here's our idiot, Mean Gene Okerlund.
Well, Sammy, the technique of interviewing a wrestler today certainly is a lot different than it was back when I first started. They were stand-up, one-on-one interviews. Sometimes you'd talk to tag teams, and sometimes you would talk to the proverbial manager. But today, it's more of an in-your-face attitude that is exuded by professional wrestlers, and in that respect, you don't get a lot of respect. So I'd have to say that that's the major change from when I first broke into the business to the year 2000, just about 2001. But make no mistake about it, it's still loads of fun.
There's your answer for
See
me.
what I tell you. It's just about the same. Circumstances, you know.
No, well, he said that it's a little more in your face these days from back when he was interviewing Strangler Lewis.
What does that mean, in your face?
Well, ask Gene Okerlund. It was his line. Let's get on to the next segment, and I can't wait for it. Here we go. Holiday Hotties. Legend, take a look at this.
I've looked at it.
WCW Magazine. Look at Stacy Keibler, Tori Wilson, Medeja, an entire pictorial inside the magazine. Well, we're going one better right now on Worldwide.
You dropped the best part.
Well, that's Pamela Paulshock. She's not in the Holiday Hotties, but here we go. We had our super secret cameras at this photo shoot. You're not going to believe it. The Holiday Hotties of World Championship Wrestling. That was hot. The Holiday Hotties. Yeah.
They're melting the snow. It's beyond hot.
No kidding around. WCW Magazine. It's on newsstands everywhere right now. Pick up your copy when we come back. It's the Professor's Pick of the Week. We're going to run that segment again just for the in-studio guys. Can we do that?
No, we can't do that.
Roll up. We'll be right back.
Can't do that.
Time once again for the Professor's Pick of the Week right here on WCW Worldwide, and it's Mike today.
Well, who'd you expect?
How about Professor Boris Malenko?
No, Professor Boris Malenko. What does he have to do with the Pick of the Week?
Nothing yet. Take it away, Mike.
Scott, let's take you back to the Great American Bash of 1997. Arguably, at that time, the ranks of the tag teams in WCW at an all-time peak. The Outsiders were in the midst of a one-year record run as World Tag Team Champions. To illustrate the depth, the teams of the Harlem Heat, 7-time champions at that point, and the Steiner Brothers, 4-time title holders, well, they were vying for #1 contendership and a shot at the World Tag Team titles. Let's take you back to a sold-out Mark of the Quad in Moline, Illinois, a #1 contenders match, the Harlem Heat versus the Steiner Brothers.
Welcome back to a Starrcade Weekend edition of WCW Worldwide. It's Sunday night, Steiner and Vicious for the World Heavyweight Championship. And right now, it's time for AskWCW.com. If you've got a question for Mike Tenay or I, or any WCW superstar, find the worldwide link at WCW.com and send us your question. We'll answer it right here on Worldwide. And this week, our question is from Kay Jr. of Seven Hills, Ohio. And his question is, Dear WCW, I've been a WCW fan all of my life. I'm curious as to the whereabouts of referees Nick Patrick and Randy Anderson. I have a WCW magazine from this past spring where Nick Patrick officiated a match at Spring Stampede. Please let me know about the whereabouts of these two, whom I consider the best referees WCW has ever had. That's a great question, and we went straight to the horse's mouth. K Jr., here's Nick Patrick.
Well, thanks for the question, K Jr. I miss the road as a referee a little bit, but I don't really miss the road because I'm still on the road. I've been working behind the scenes, helping produce different segments, and I also work as a road agent, which is the guy that represents the office that goes out to different shows that we run that aren't televised and make sure everything runs smooth, make sure all the wrestlers know what match they're on and throughout the order, and just make sure everything runs smooth. That's what I've been doing lately.
There's your answer. Of course, Nick Patrick still very much involved in World Championship Wrestling, only now behind the scenes. But, Mike, for a while there, he was right out in the ring with everybody else.
Yeah, it's interesting that Nick Patrick was the subject of the AskWCW.com question. I think most of our WCW Worldwide viewers recall that he was the NWO referee several years back. And this week, the professor's pick, Nick Patrick is the official.
That's still to come. Exclusive action with Buff Bagwell. But when we come back, WCW.com's very own Chad Damiani sits down one-on-one with Nitro Girl Jamie. Stay right where you are.
Thanks a lot, Scott. I have the distinction of introducing the newest Nitro Girl, a special gift on the holidays. In fact, I'm going to let her introduce herself.
My name is Nadia. It's naughty as in like bad naughty, with a little dash and an A at the end. So.
Very nice, very nice. And how did you come to this nickname?
Well, Alto wanted a heel Nitro Girl, so I got the privilege of being the bad Nitro Girl. So we thought we wanted.
Spend any time in the pen or?
Well, I just got out of jail a couple months ago, but that's a different story.
Let's start back actually with your past. What is your history in dancing? How did you even get involved with dance and eventually with the Nitro Girls?
Well, the last thing that I did, I was dancing with the Hawks, and Alto actually used to dance for the Hawks, and she still comes to a couple of the practices, and I was leaving practice, my hair was matted, no makeup on, and Alto said, you know, I'm looking for a blonde, and I was like, did you lose one? And
I've often used that one.
And so she asked if I was interested, and she told me a little bit about the program, and it just sounded wonderful. So we spoke a little bit about it. I flew to Chicago and watched the show, and I loved it. I was immediately hooked.
Well, you worked with the Hawks, so I'm guessing you've been dancing probably your whole life.
Actually, no. I didn't start dancing until I was 15. I started on my high school dance team. I'm a backyard dancer. Got myself.
Backyard dancing, a phenomenon in this country.
And I actually got my training from the University of Tennessee, which is where I went to school. So.
And what about wrestling? Now you're a part of the sports entertainment. Did you watch it as a kid?
I did. When I met Mean Gene, I was completely starstruck. My brother and I used to watch Gene a lot when we were little. So.
I'm sure Gene offered to you any advice you'd want, or to spend as much time with you as possible to help you learn the business.
Well, we do have dinner together in catering at the shows.
Catering, that's fair.
Yeah.
Last question, favorite wrestler, because all the guys probably want to know. You got to pick one right now. You've been watching the program for a while.
I have, and hands down Goldberg. Just when he does the little pop thing, you should see me backstage. All the girls make fun of me because I stand back and everybody's got their ears plugged for the pyro, and it's my favorite. It gives me chill bumps every time.
Well, Nadia, thank you so much for sitting with us, and welcome to the Nitro Girls.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
And when we come back, we're going to have the professor's pick on Worldwide. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to WCW Worldwide. I've only got one question. How does Chad Damiani score a gig like interviewing Nitro Girl Jamie, or Nadia, as they're calling her now, and I get stuck with you?
Stuck with me? Talk about bad beats. Not only do we have to do the show together, now Shivani's assigned you as my traveling partner on the road.
Bad beats? Yeah. Try the Imodium. That might help you out there. Let's move on to Toys for Tots. You know, this weekend is Starrcade weekend. Next weekend, it's Christmas. And WCW very much a part of the Toys for Tots program. Near WCW headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, we had a great time giving presents to the Toys for Tots program. Let's take a look at that footage.
The
The Toys for Tots program collects an average of 8 million toys per year nationwide. This year, because of companies and organizations such as the WCW, things are really starting to take off quickly. We're so grateful for all the help that we get from the WCW and other organizations throughout the country.
Man, come on. That's good, man. Toys for Tots, of course, a great program. WCW very, very proud to be a part of that organization. And speaking of gifts, what better gift to give the one you love than this Sunday night? Make the call right now and order Starcade, the granddaddy of them all, MCI Center in Washington. You don't want to miss Starcade 2000. We've had the professor's pick and Nitro Girl Jamie. This has been one heck of an edition of Worldwide, and it's not over. Exclusive in-ring action right now with Buff Bagwell. Starcade is Sunday night, and Buff Bagwell not a part of the show, but you know, Mike, he is right now lobbying, campaigning, angling to get to be a part of the granddaddy of them all Sunday night.
No question about that, Scott. If you recall a recent sit-down interview that I conducted with Buff Bagwell, he said it was all about one word: opportunity. The chance to prove himself here in WCW. Buff Bagwell knows that every time he steps into the ring, it's important when it comes to wins and losses because he wants a shot at that World's Heavyweight title.
Exclusively here on Worldwide, Buff Bagwell from London, England, against Drew McDonald.
You are looking at a sold-out London arena. Yes, we are at ringside for this worldwide exclusive as part of World Championship Wrestling's UK Invasion Tour. And at ringside, alongside Tony Schiavone, this is Mike Tenay. Tony, this exclusive matchup to feature, well, a very stout-looking individual by the name of Drew McDonald in his WCW debut. And I guess that Mr. McDonald has some association in the past with our own Dave Fit Finlay.
Drew McDonald, kind of a protege of Dave Fit Finlay, another man from Ireland, another wrestler from Ireland. And it looks like, Mike, that he's bursting through that singlet right there. It doesn't even fit over the upper part of the body.
Complete with every possible tattoo that you could imagine. And you can see by the look on the face of Drew McDonald that he is here to make a name for himself, and he's going to try and make a name for himself at the expense of this man, Buff Bagwell.
Now, believe it or not, Buff Bagwell, for as great as he is, and for outstanding of a record that he's had in WCW, Buff has had to travel across the Atlantic. He's had to take that 7-hour flight from Atlanta, Georgia, so in many ways, Drew McDonald may have some sort of an advantage here since he's wrestled in London, he's wrestled over here on a regular basis, so it's a very important match for Buff Bagwell.
Sort of a home ring advantage for Drew McDonald, and certainly the WCW fans very aware of what Buff Bagwell has accomplished in his 9+ years with the WCW organization. In the mind of Drew McDonald, he can erase all that here in one night in this one-on-one matchup with Charles Robinson, the referee, who calls for the opening bell. And another advantage here is that Drew McDonald, I'm sure, has been watching Buff Bagwell on WCW TV, where Buff Bagwell has never seen Drew McDonald wrestle before. He hasn't had that chance to scout his opponent.
There was a lot of talk in the backstage area right before he went on the air, and Fit Finlay, of course, works behind the scenes in WCW as one of the agents, and there was a lot of questions asked about Drew McDonald. One thing Fit told us was, think about how sick I am as a guy, as a competitor. You can multiply that by 10 when you talk about Drew McDonald. So,
well, that's saying a mouthful because Finlay, one of the fiercest competitors ever to lace up a pair of boots in WCW, and McDonald, well, he has the advantage in the early going with a side slam, plants Buff in the middle of the ring.
One thing McDonald cannot afford to do is to be too methodical. Now, you see he's using basically the techniques and the strategy that he knows best, which is a pretty sound game plan. But he must stay on Buff because Buff has a lot of resiliency and he can mount a comeback at any time.
Right hand to the side of the face. That one jacked the jaw of Buff Bagwell. Bagwell able to duck the clothesline. Comes springing off the ropes with a flying cross body block. Does not go for a pinfall attempt. Instead, back off the ropes, and there's the swinging neck breaker. McDonald slowly to his feet, and he's got the big man rocking in the corner, and now look at Bagwell immediately follow up the advantage with the corner mount.
Well, Buff loves the showboat. We talked about it, maybe making a mistake. But Mike, he's been doing it so long, and he's successful with it. Just let him do what he knows best.
Series of right hands to the side of the head of McDonald, who comes out face first out of the corner. And now Bagwell quickly takes McDonald. An attempt to send him off into the corner is reversed. The float over by Bagwell. Doubled over McDonald with a boot to the midsection and then spiked him with a double arm DDT. Hook of the leg, shoulders down, that's 2, and McDonald kicks out at 2.
Pretty sound game plan so far. Buff has not tried to pick the big man up.
Back to the pin attempt again, and another 2 count from referee Robinson. And, well, look at Bagwell. Very emotional, getting right in the face of the referee, and that cost him because as he turns around, McDonald catches him unaware with a pair of right hands.
Interesting enough, there's been some very unkind things said over the past few weeks between Buff Bagwell and Jeff Jarrett, and I'm sure that's something that's going to play out over the next couple of weeks in WCW. Watch out here.
Certainly an ongoing rivalry in World Championship Wrestling as McDonald connects with a headbutt and he gets a 2 count before Bagwell is able to lift the 270-pounder up off the pin attempt. Now McDonald in control. Scoop, mid-ring, and a sit-out slam that time. Drops Bagwell down. Nonchalant cover. Awfully cocky, awful confident. And he only gets 2. Poor weight positioning that time by McDonald. Allowed Bagwell to escape.
And you talked about being able to scout Bagwell, watching him on Worldwide, watching him on Thunder and Nitro. Had he scouted Bagwell extensively, he would have known not to make a nonchalant cover like that.
Wow. McDonald loses his focus. You saw that lapse in concentration just momentarily. That enables Bagwell to get to his feet. Out of the corner. Nice slam off the top turnbuckle by Bagwell. Bagwell asks the fans for support. They're behind him. He just hit the running clothesline. A second running lariat. McDonald down again, and it's time for Buff to strut. Now Bagwell up off the middle ropes. Could it be time for the blockbuster? It's exactly what it is. Buff blockbuster off the middle ropes by Bagwell. Goes to the cover. Gets 2. Got it.
So Buff Bagwell, all the way in London, England, comes away with a well-deserved win over Drew McDonald. And Drew McDonald, pretty tough competitor. First time we've seen him on Worldwide Wrestling. Pushed Buff to the limit, but once again the power and the agility of Buff came into play here.
Very competitive matchup in this worldwide exclusive as Buff Bagwell is able to hold on and get the win, and let's take another look.
It all came down to one move, and Buff knew that once he had it on, that would be all she wrote. The winner of a match in a sensational win for Buff Bagwell.
There you see it again, the hook of the leg. Buff Bagwell ensuring the victory. Buff goes to the old reliable move. He uses the blockbuster, and Buff Bagwell scores the victory.
Another in a list of victories for Buff Bagwell. Let's not forget, Sunday night at Starrcade 2000, Washington, D.C., as part of Starrcade. Don't forget, this man, Bill Goldberg, puts his career and his streak on the line against Lex Luger. Will the streak, we got to be pushing 30 by the time we get to Starrcade. It's Sunday night, Mike.
And remember that in that Goldberg-Luger match, CEO Ric Flair has ruled that it's going to be no holds barred and no disqualification. But the big one is for the world's heavyweight title. And Ric Flair has put a man in the path of the ticking time bomb, Scott Steiner, that just may be up to the task of winning the world's heavyweight title. I'm talking about the original Madman, Sid Vicious.
It all goes down Sunday night. We will be in Washington, D.C. If you can't join us at the MCI Center, make the appropriate telephone call to your cable company or satellite provider. You cannot miss Starrcade 2000. Steiner Vicious, Goldberg Luger. It only gets bigger from there. Believe it or not, it's Starrcade. For Mike Tenay, I'm Scott Hudson. We'll see you Sunday night from Washington at Starrcade.
You can see I pulled tough duty once again. We have the perennial Nitro girl, the #1 girl, Che. And what we thought we'd do is we're going to talk about, or Che's going to talk about, what she's thankful about. So Che, in this season of holiday giving, why don't you tell the fans what you're thankful for?
You know what? We stay on the road the whole year. And I'm sure I'm speaking for all the girls and myself. I'm very thankful that I'm going to finally have time to go home, you know, and just kind of relax and catch up with my family.
And what does that exactly mean? What is holidays at Che's house?
Eating your mom's cooking.
That's eating
your mom's cooking and not having to worry about, you know, where I have to be the next week, and, you know, just relaxing and just spending time and cooking and eating.
Looking at this year, I mean, this was a tumultuous year, a lot of great things happening for WCW. What are you thinking as far as for 2001? I mean, what's in the future for Che?
In the future for Che, you know what? There's this one motto that I read that always stuck in my mind. It said, work like you don't need money, dance like no one's watching, and love like you've never been hurt.
That was Carrot Top, I believe. No? I'm not very good with quotes, but that is a gregreat way to look at it.
Yeah, you know
and
what?
in this business, too. I mean, it's so exciting, and you've lasted more than a lot of women have lasted in this business.
I think I have lasted the longest, besides Kimberly.
Well, of course, besides Kimberly. Well, we're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, Scott and Mike are going to be treating you to the best of...
Hang on a sec, wait. Why am I sitting in your lap?
I'm Santa Claus, the producers.
Who's in charge here?
We're gonna be right back. No, this was something that
No, but you're not even Santa Claus.
I have the hat.
Can I give you my wish list?
Can I give you mine?
On newsstands this week, it's the new edition of WCW Magazine. Sting revealed Goldberg's muscle car collection and so much more. Mike Tenay's column, my column, Tony Schiavone's column, they're all in there. Stevie Ray's brand new column in WCW Magazine. We talked about Goldberg in the magazine. Mike, it's the holiday season. We're right in the middle of Hanukkah also, and our very own Goldberg made an appearance on Comedy Central's The Man Show.
You know, Scott, it's just been amazing. The crossover mainstream appeal of World Championship Wrestling continues. Goldberg has his new book out, and we've seen him live with Regis. We've seen him with Maury Povich. Guess it's only natural that next up, The Man Show.
Jimmy Kimmel, Adam Carolla had never seen anything like The Man. Goldberg on The Man Show.
What is Hanukkah, Goldberg?
Hanukkah is the festival of lights. So, now it's time to light the menorah. All right. Where is my menorah? I didn't take it. Anybody got a match? Oh, dreidel, 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 I mean... You got a noon. What's that mean? Sleeper hole.
Wow, Goldberg, you are a wonderful baker.
Oh, man, no, I'm not. You're next.
You know, if you can't have one of the Nitro girls or one of the girls from The Man Show under your tree Monday morning, how about a copy of I'm Next, the Goldberg book, going through the roof, Mike?
I just loved him on The Man Show. Nothing better than Goldberg on trampolines.
Goldberg on trampolines? It was like the girls on trampolines.
It's part of the tradition of The Man Show. But I will agree with you about the biography, however. I'm Next. Great details on the football career of Goldberg, as well as how he's ascended to superstardom right here in World Championship Wrestling.
Nothing about trampolines, however, and I'm Next. Don't look for that. When we come back, it's AskWCW.com. How about Blind Jolie Ray playing us to the break? Take it away, Blinder. As you can see, I sent Mike Tenay off for a grande latte and biscotti and brought in Stevie Ray from WCW Thunder. Stevie, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Scott.
I brought you out here for a reason, and that is this week's AskWCW.com question. It has a lot to do with the danger that we face behind the broadcast table.
You know, people don't really realize the kind of danger that we do face behind the table. You got guys breaking the table. You got guys taking their opponents, slamming their heads into it. And I'm telling you right now, Scott, I'm not going to have it as long as I'm sitting here. Can you dig it?
Absolutely, I can dig it. It's an unsafe work environment, believe it or not, right behind this broadcast table. And toward that end, our question on AskWCW.com, comes from Daryl Whistler of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and his question is for Tony Schiavone. Have you ever been injured while commentating? Daryl, here's your answer.
Daryl, that's a very good question. First of all, you're from Pittsburgh, so you must know a lot about Mark Madden. But let me answer those questions. First of all, I'm going to take you back to 1987 at the Forum in Los Angeles. I was the ring announcer when the Road Warriors were coming to the ring, and I was caught in a corner, and Road Warrior Hawk decided to walk up the corner, up the turnbuckle pads, and actually ran over me, and one of his spikes gouged me right here, and I had to have about 3 stitches right below the right eye. And also, we had a Clash of the Champions back in the early 90s, and I was sitting at ringside with Jim Ross when Cactus Jack spilled over the top rope. He had landed on my arm and sprained my arm. And, of course, it was a great conversation piece going around my house and going around the neighborhood telling everyone that the hardcore legend himself, Cactus Jack, hurt my arm. So those are the 2 ones that I can remember, the injuries that I sustained doing pro wrestling throughout the years.
I can't believe it was only 2 times, Stevie, that Tony's been hurt out there.
You know, I got one thing to say to that. Do we have any footage from that in the archives? Do we have any? Has anybody ever seen how fast Schiavone runs when the guys come over to the table?
It's pretty quick.
Like you, like Tanay, y'all hiding behind me, and I'm sick and tired of it.
Wow. It's a dangerous place. We appreciate you being out there, Stevie. I can see Tanay is back with the Grande Lottie.
Did he bring me one?
Did you ask him?
I thought you did.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
To you and your family when we come back, Mike, today we'll have the Professor's Pick of the Week. Play us out of here, Blind Jolie Ray.
Due to the holidays, Nitro will be preempted on December the 25th and January 1st. Don't forget to join us when we return to our customary time slot on January the 8th.
Thank you very much for the latte. Tremendous. One of the hazelnut shot in there, but we'll talk about that later. Back on Worldwide, week after week, we get cards and letters about this next segment, and I love it. It's the Professor's Pick of the Week, and with the pick, Mike Tanay.
Scott Hudson, this week's pick is very interesting on several fronts, and maybe most interesting because of the historical significance of this match. We're going to let you watch this match. Scott Hudson, I'm going to ask you when we return exactly what that historical aspect is. Yes, history was made back on Sunday, December the 28th, 1997, when Hollywood Hogan defended the World's Heavyweight Championship against the challenge of Sting. It was the classic confrontation, pitting World Championship Wrestling against the New World Order. Now let's take you back in time to a sold-out MCI Center in Washington, D.C. It's Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade 1997, shown in its entirety.
Come back on Worldwide. By the way, the Professor's Pick of the Week brought to you, as always, by 1-800-COLLECT, the easy way to save. And speaking of the easy way, how about some easy Christmas carols? That's right. We've got special guests going to stand by with the orchestra. Christmas carols when we come back to Worldwide. Mike, as we wrap up this edition of Worldwide, it's the holiday season. I know you didn't get me anything, but I got you a couple of things. One, some free advice. Let the microphone work for you.
Okay.
Secondly, I brought in some Christmas carol singers onto the set.
Really? Jimmy Hart and the Gentrys are here?
No, Jimmy Hart and the Gentrys, no.
Gene Okerlund and the Holiday Wenches.
No! The what?
The Holiday Wenches.
It's Sugar Shane Helms and Shannon Moore, 3 count.
Promise me singers.
It's 3 count, come on.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. Making what fun it is. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is
Mike,
to ride in a one-horse
you have got to be kidding me.
His idea.
This is the lowest of lows. I mean, before I even get started, Scott, here's $10. Why don't you go replace that suit you got on? Mike, who runs Nitro?
Oh, it's you, Mike.
Who runs Thunder?
Thunder? That would be you, Mike.
And who's running the WCW Worldwide Christmas Show?
Today it's you.
you know what? I don't mind talent. I'm all about talent, guys. That is not talent. So
Amen.
if you don't mind, the Thrillers are going to show them the exit door.
What do you mean? Hey, it's the holidays. Oh, what are you talking about? What's going on here?
You guys might want to be.
Oh, no!
Alrighty. Now, the Natural Born Thrillers would like to give you their rendition of Christmas caroling. Jingle bell, jingle bell.
Hey guys, you know what? This is one of my favorites of all time. Deck the halls with balls of holly. Fa la 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 la. It's
guys, time out. I got one a little bit better. What? We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And you're all S-O-L. You know what that means.
Fans, when we come back, Remember When continues. Look back at one of the first matches ever for the Cat Ernest Miller. But right now, behind the scenes on Worldwide. Welcome back, fans, to this holiday edition, this New Year edition of WCW Worldwide Wrestling. Still to come, we're going to give you the card for WCW Sin on Sunday, January 14th. And once again, we go back into the archives with our Remember When segment. And with this update, here's the one and only man we can never forget as long as we all shall live, Professor Mike Tenay.
That was a little wordy, wasn't it?
Well, you deserve much better of a build-up, but that's all I got right now.
Well, this one's going to be very interesting. You're going to like this one, Tony. We're talking about a man by the name of Ernest Miller. His first association with World Championship Wrestling came when he was a martial arts instructor in Atlanta, Georgia. Just so happened that one of his students was the son of Eric Bischoff, the man who was in charge of World Championship Wrestling at that time. And Eric Bischoff saw in Ernest Miller not only a three-time world karate champion, but a man who was a college football star, also played in the National Football League and the Canadian Football League. And of course, he also saw the charisma in Ernest Miller that we now know as the Cat. Let's take you back to his worldwide debut. This is April of 1997. Interestingly enough, it's Ernest Miller against Glacier.
You know, we talk about the martial arts skill of Glacier developed over in the Far East. Well, the man he's going to face making his debut on Worldwide is a man who well-schooled in the martial arts as well. He's from Atlanta. His name is Ernest Miller.
Oh, I heard of him.
Oh, yeah, and as a matter of fact, he has competed on a national level in black belt competition and is one of the top-ranked masters of martial arts in the United States.
And they say he's very within himself. He studies and studies and studies his opponent. They say he's a very fast, very clever man and a very dangerous man. I've heard a lot about Ernest Miller.
But for Glacier, and you know when you're undefeated how people come at you, he needs to be thinking about Ernest Miller here. This is a big match for him.
Well, this all comes with seasoning. He'll learn. Right here, right in front of your eyes. Do you take Ernest Miller lightly and do you think ahead or do you handle what is in front of you at the time? That's exactly what you do, Tony. You handle what's in front of you at the time.
You see that both men have competed in martial arts competition. They try to hook up that time. How about that?
There's a lot of mutual respect right there.
Reverse spin hook kick that time, and Glacier ducking out of the way. Tried an open palm slap, blocked by Glacier into your standard side headlock.
See, he throws a little bit of the martial arts in and then goes back to wrestling.
That's good. That'll work.
Ernest Miller sends him in. Shoulder block takes Miller down. Over the top, Glacier. Miller ducked low. Glacier tried that. Oh, my goodness, a great move by Miller. Caught him in the chest. One, got a 2 count, and he almost got a win.
That was kind of like a flying body scissors.
That really was. Look at that. Those are back leg front kicks on both sides.
He's only got 2 legs. No front or back legs. Only got 2 legs.
You need to be educated in this stuff, Brain. There is a standing side kick and brought the man back to the turnbuckle.
You might as well say hind leg kicks. His hind legs are also the front legs.
Yeah, the back leg and the front leg, depending on where you're standing.
Oh, I'll make it simple.
Oh, for crying out
my
loud.
legs are together. When you put one foot in front of the other, it's called walking.
Thank you for mudding the waters here. Wow, missed that one. Chop that time. That was a spinning hook kick that he missed. Front leg kick by Miller.
He hasn't really done anything illegal yet, has he?
No, neither man has. Miller, though, came closest to getting the win, and that was a cardinal mistake. Took his eyes off of Glacier, duck low. Glacier with...
Now here's a little too much time. He's looking at the humanoids. Forget it. Beat your man when you can.
Oh, power bombed him. Glacier's got another one, a power bomb that he's added to his arsenal. Rolls through. Here comes a chronic kick. Let's see if he can. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Chronic kick. It's 1, 2, 3.
Mike, you mentioned about the charisma of the Cat. Certainly the Ernest Miller that we see now and the one that we saw back then are two different people.
Tony, I think it's all about establishing yourself. We've seen now that Ernest has picked up that experience level, become more comfortable in front of the camera, as well as in the ring. And I think Ernest Miller proved to everyone that he belongs. When the Cat was commissioner earlier this year, the year 2000, I also think, however, that his role as commissioner maybe took away from his in-ring activity. And I think now that he's concentrating more on that, we'll see nothing but success for Ernest the Cat Miller in the year 2001.
And he's had a coronation from James Brown himself. He has Miss Jones at ringside with him. He's doing pretty good for himself right now.
Really is. Going to be a big year ahead for the Cat.
Fans, still to come, we have the rundown of the Sin card coming up on January 14th. Another Remember win, the biggest one yet. But when we come back, it's AskWCW.com. But right now, once again, behind the scenes on WCW Worldwide Wrestling. Fans, we're back, and a reminder to check out our website, WCW.com. They'll be taking a look for the next couple of weeks at some of the very best things to happen to WCW, Mike, over the year 2000.
Wow, that's going to have to be a very comprehensive photo gallery, from what I understand, Tony, because so many big things went down in World Championship Wrestling in the year 2000.
And speaking of WCW.com, it's time for AskWCW.com. You ready?
My favorite part of the program.
And let's...
Who are we going to ask this week?
Okay, let me see if I can get this thing to work.
Scott Hudson never has a problem with that, by the way.
Well,
that's Spookmaster 2000?
That's because it's a prop.
What?
AskWCW.com goes to Brian Clark of Chronic. It's from Derek Morgan of Eden, North Carolina. And Derek wants to know, say, finally, you guys are getting the respect you deserve, and I'm definitely down with Chronic. My question is, if you weren't a professional wrestler, Brian Clark, what would you probably be doing right now? Here's Brian Clark's answer.
Okay, Derek, to answer your question, as far as what I would be doing if I wasn't in professional wrestling, I'd probably have to say I'd be tie myself in with the physical fitness industry somehow. Probably maybe a gym owner or something like that. Something that keeps me occupied and also keeps me healthy and training. And I've always enjoyed that ever since my competitive days in college and even up until now. It's something that I really enjoy, and I like working with people. So I'd have to say that that's what I'd be doing.
So Brian Clark would be in the fitness industry, and obviously he's in great shape, so that's a natural with him.
Fitness industry? I'm kind of surprised. I thought he might be a bank teller.
Aha.
You're supposed to say bank teller, question mark?
Bank teller?
And I say, you know, it's all about breaking necks and
cashing checks.
Very good.
Very well said. Thanks a lot, Derek, for your question. Fans, we want to hear from you. Send us your questions to whomever in WCW. Email us at askwcw@turner.com. Is that the right address, Nate? Oh, I'm sure it is. If not, log on to WCW.com and go through the prompts, click on the sites, and you'll find out how to email us right here at WCW Worldwide. And guess what? If you send us your question, and if we use it on the air, we'll give you a brand new WCW Worldwide t-shirt.
Well, of course it's going to be a brand new t-shirt. What are we going to give them, a used t-shirt?
We may have done that in weeks past.
Well, we've bumped up the budget a little bit.
Yes, we are making a little bit of money now, so we are going to give you a chance to get your own WCW Worldwide t-shirt. So fans, make sure though on your email you send us your name and your address and your phone number so we can get in touch with you. And fans,